The Fan.
Yeah, this album is dedicated to all the teachers that told me I never amount to nothing. To all the people that lived above the buildings that I was hustling from that called the police on me when I was just trying to make some money to feed my daughter.
Yeah.
And to all my peoples in the struggle, you know what I'm saying? It's all good, baby.
Check it.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine. Hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, rap attack, Mr. Magic Marley Marl. I let my tape rock till my tape pop. Way back when I had the red and black lumberjack with the hat to match. Remember rapping Duke? The hard, you never thought that hip-hop would take it this far.
10:03 in the Love Covenant.
Time to get paid.
A clubhouse call to the Twins clubhouse in cold call fashion about 30 minutes from now. And we will be hooking up with a Twins player, offering some love, covenant, motivation, and inspiration. And it could be a player who, as 9 to noon would say, is ballyhooed. So make sure 30 minutes from now you listen to that unique piece of radio. And stay here certainly now with Ben Leber at Nacho Leber via Twitter, and also a part of Twin Cities Live 3 to 4:30 on Channel 5 on weekdays. And you can listen to these segments with Ben at FM 100.3 KFAN, but you also can watch them via stream. We're going to stream at least the next couple of segments, and for more on that, here is E.
Simply enough, you know our social channels. It's YouTube. You can catch us via Twitter, Twitch, wherever the hell you want to stream us. It's thanks to our buddies at Quantum Fiber. So this is something that we're doing now periodically. Thank you to Quantum Fiber, and you can stream us and enjoy 9 to noon and Lieber's beautiful mug in HD.
Now, the 3D of scenarios developing with the Minnesota Vikings, very much in play, very vivid, and what a perfect time to have Ben Leber, former Vikings linebacker, one of the analysts for the Vikings Radio Network, with us now. The 3Ds being Dalvin, Daniil, and discernment, or Dalvin, Daniil, and determining whether decisions, at least at first blush, are shocking, decisions are correct, and analyzing, and that's what we do. And we begin with the tweets. The first one we saw was from Adam Schefter of ESPN, that the Minnesota Vikings will be releasing Dalvin Cook by 3 p.m. tomorrow. Let's begin there. A future offense and or running game and just the schematic wherewithal of Kevin O'Connell's offense without Dalvin Cook moving forward. And good morning.
Good morning, and I apologize for the false start to start the show.
What happened? No, you're good.
Well, you know, the beautiful Notorious B.I.G. was playing, you know, my walk-up song, and didn't have my headphones on, and you say hello to me.
You're all right, brother.
And I hit the on button
You're
and say
right,
hello back.
No, I just wanted,
not realizing that you weren't on air. You were just saying hi to me off air.
I wanted you to watch my shoulder shimmy before the stream started to the who does Juicy? Who does that song?
Notorious B.I.G.
Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah,
Biggie Smalls.
I wanted you to watch my shoulder shake before the stream went on. So it wasn't a hello. It was just, hey, let's bounce together.
Yeah, no, yeah. And you know what? And I didn't pick up on that vibe, so I apologize. I would have bounced with you. I would have vibed with you off air, but I decided in that moment that I thought you were on air, and I was talking over the music. So first of all, I apologize. No disrespect to Biggie. I let him sing his deal, do his deal. I didn't do my proper walk-up. So and good morning to you. So
and good morning.
As you lay that question out, yeah, I mean, look, this whole thing, you know, I was just talking to Nordo about this. If this was a bombshell that got dropped on us, unbeknownst to anybody, this would be shocking. Like, I probably would be a loss of words. I'd probably be a little bit angry. I would probably be like, you know, my fists in the air, like, what the hell are they doing over there? I don't understand this. But, you know, we've had, you know, weeks and weeks now to prepare ourselves for this inevitable ending to Dalvin Cook's tenure with the Vikings. And, you know, to me, it does make sense. I mean, you know, Kwesi's been dealt, you know, quite the financial handcuffs when it comes to building this team and all this other stuff. So there's been a lot of decisions being made because of the finances and because of the salary cap issues. And this was one of the ones where we talked about, look, this is a guy that has been, you know, banged up a little bit, you know, health-wise, super dynamic. You know, we all love Dalvin. You know, he's a high performer, big home run hitter. But, it is feast or famine with him. And I've known, you've broken this down many times. Other people have broken it down, all the stats. Like, he's either going to give you a first down and be a chain mover or, hit it for 80 yards or, it's going to be loss of yards or no yards at all.
But is that Dalvin last year or is that Dalvin in totality? Because
I think going forward, you don't have time to wait to see if that was just a last year thing.
Yeah.
You have a big salary cap number for this year, and you need all of those dollars because you need to sign other players. You need to sign Justin Jefferson and Darisaw and possibly Hawkinson. But you need money now. This is not one of those things like, well, let's just be patient with them and see what year 2 looks like. What's KOC 2.0 look like this year? Now that we have Jordan Addison, how does that all play out? I don't think they have time to wait. They have to make a decision this year. Yep. And, you've heard them talk about, look, they really want positive yards on first and second down. It really hurts their play calling. It really hurts what they want to do offensively in the pass game if they are behind the chains. So I really think that is Alexander Mattison a dynamic runner like Dalvin? No, I think everybody understands it. And that's not a slight or disrespect. They're just two different runners. But what he can give you is more of a north-south feel. And he's going to give you, the statistics say, a higher probability of positive gains versus Dalvin. Mm-hmm. And I think that they're looking at that. That's the net positive for the offense.
Meshing that with the cash owed now.
Yes.
And owed in the future.
Right.
Okay, so the next layer of this for me would be if you're a defensive coordinator and say it's Alexander Mattison, Alexander Mattison, a career backup, Ty Chandler, who hasn't played, and Kene Nwanwu or Dwayne McBride as the wild card third guy who might play a little bit, the mixer, and then there's C.J. Ham, who catches passes out of the backfield as a fullback better than, at least until proven otherwise, better than anybody we just mentioned. Mm-hmm. If you're a defensive coordinator, is there a threat of throwing to the running back? Because if there's not, I find that to be problematic.
Well, yeah, Kene did not do that much in college.
McBride
never did it. And Madison, he does it every once in a while, but again, he's not the most dynamic guy in space.
Right. But they had that nice passing touchdown to Alex at Tottenham Hotspur. I think it was their it was what do you call it, a smoke route or whatever.
3rd and goal from the 15, that opening score.
Right, and he had a little space, took advantage of it, then encountered people and got in, so he can do that.
Yeah, and Ty Chandler, I guess we don't really know yet what we're going to get out of him. We know that he's super fast, but can he be a guy that we can use on third down in the pass game? That's a great question. It is, as a defensive coordinator, it is nice knowing that, hey, if the running back flares in out of the backfield into the flats or something, if you have to pay attention to him, it changes the drop angles of a lot of these guys. Right. I know that firsthand as an outside backer. If you knew that there was a pass catching guy in the backfield and he flares out behind the line of scrimmage, your drop to the flat, knowing that you have to get underneath that route by the wide receiver and be that presence, sometimes you'll short that because you're like, oh man, well there's a pass catching guy right in front of me, even though I'm supposed to let him catch it and then rally to the tackle. It's human nature to feel that threat. That threat will pull you, and then all of a sudden now they bait you with that guy, and then they throw to the receiver that they really want to throw to. So having a threat as a pass catcher in the backfield, it does help. Now.
But that threat could be a receiver.
Yeah. Can you mitigate that with other weapons on offense? For sure. I think in a more traditional sense, yes, it's a bigger deal, but I'm not as worried about it right now because we do have so many options in the passing game with the dynamic tight end and with a guy like C.J. Ham as well that, until I'm proven otherwise, I'm not as worried about it.
Well, I'm not concerned about it either. I brought it up because I think it's a fair, pertinent topic to bring up to an elite football mind. But I also do believe, if you look back at some touchdowns Jordan Addison scored at USC, you'll see a touchdown against UCLA where he came out of the backfield. It was Percy Harvin-esque. I'm not saying that he has that to him, but it came out of the backfield. Using Rager more out of the backfield, I sense that's coming. Brandon Powell, if he makes the team, I can't say that he's backfield guy, but it plays into what you're saying, that you have a different version of player that is not Dalvin Cook, but can be utilized in a different way to offset what coordinators will see with what you're trying to do with Dalvin. So actually the unpredictability shades the way of O'Connell until they get film on it, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And I think it all depends on in what scenarios and game situations they do that. If they want to use it, let's say if they want to use Jordan Addison as a back out of the backfield, and they use him in traditional 21 personnel where there's just two receivers on the field, well, that really does screw up a defense.
Really?
Because they have base defense out there. They think it's CJ Ham and Alexander Madison. And all of a sudden now you break the huddle, and Madison goes one way out to the wide. CJ goes out the other way, and then you get Addison in the backfield. They might have to call a timeout on defense because they're like, wait, huh? Who's doing what? If it's a sub package deal on 3rd and long, and you get a receiver lineup in the backfield, that's not nuance. That's not, even if Ty Chandler is the lone running back in 11 personnel on 3rd and 11. And then he splits out and you get a wide receiver in the backfield, minimal adjustments have to be made. So I think it's all about when you use a guy like that.
Ben Leber, 9 to noon, their report from Adam Schefter of ESPN that the Vikings are going to release Dalvin Cook within the next 20-some-odd hours. Also, reports that teams are peppering the Vikings rather loudly at this stage, trying to trade for Danielle Hunter. We're talking about those two topics and more with Ben, and we'll do...
Did you change?
This is The Fan. The Fan.
About 8 minutes, then a clubhouse call to the flop at the Trop. Now, Dalvin Cook's legacy, assuming the reports are accurate, and I have no reason to believe they're not, the biggest of big spot reporters are sharing Dalvin Cook will be released by the Minnesota Vikings before 3 p.m. tomorrow. Adam Schefter being one of them, Tom Pelissero, and so on. Those are the reliable of the reliable. Dalvin's legacy as a running back for the Minnesota Vikings. Adrian Peterson is the greatest running back in the history of Minnesota Vikings football for his home run hitting ability and HOF cred. Chuck Foreman was a wonderful running back out of the University of Miami who could catch it and was multifaceted and did a lot of things in a different era to help the team get to Super Bowl Zeth. The upright runner that was Robert Smith cut his career short by retiring before many felt he had a lot of tread left on that proverbial tire. Robert would catch up, one of the best pass protecting running backs for my taste in the history of the NFL, just so smart. And he was an unbelievable runner playing for a team when he was at his best. That's one of the greatest offenses in the history of the NFL. So there's so many layers that need to factor in when you're determining legacy and things like that. But Dalvin, his legacy as a running back for the Minnesota Vikings, one of the very best, right?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, his statistics speak for themselves. What third in rushing yards in total for Vikings running backs? Fourth in touchdowns and rushing touchdowns, and second in the history of the Minnesota Vikings as in rushing yards per game, only behind Adrian Peterson. So, he's one of the very best to ever wear purple. And I think when you look at the style of the way he ran, he's one of the most fascinating ball carriers, I think, that we've seen in a long time. And he's one of the most creative runners, I think, that we've seen in a long time. Because, and the reason I say that is because how many times did we watch these games where, and it doesn't have to be a 30-yard run, but he hits the hole maybe, bounces off one of our own offensive linemen, and it looks like there's no place to go. And he finds a little crack, a little crevice in the scheme, in the hole. And he's able to kind of like turn his shoulders and hips, swivel through. He sort of pitter pats his feet. That doesn't look like he's like really working all that hard. And all of a sudden it's a hard cut to the right or left, and he breaks the tackle, and he goes for, 15, 20, 30 yards. And you're like, that was a play that was going to be a zero play. Now, we have seen a lot of zero gain plays. We've seen some negative plays because of that. But his vision and his ability to create when there was nothing to create, I think, is one of the hallmarks of watching him run. One of the things that I think is his legacy with the Minnesota Vikings will be is this. He was a very creative runner, very shifty runner. I was always enamored by the way that he would just float on the field. In his feet, because he took such short, choppy steps. He played with great balance because he was never really off all of his feet, off both feet for a long time. It was a hit. He'd absorb the hit, but he'd have both cleats in the ground, in an instant, and he's able to bounce off guys. So he's a crafty, creative, fascinating player.
Now, do you believe, just quick twitch, the current Minnesota Vikings offense, let's say without Dalvin Cook, is as good, if not better, than the 2017 offense with Latavius Murray, Jerick McKinnon? You got Diggs, but you also have Case Keenum. Which one do you feel is better, and why?
Oh, this year's iteration.
And what I'm getting at here is that let's not forget Dalvin, for the first game he had against New Orleans on Monday Night Football was terrific. Sam Bradford was the offensive player of the week. Then Bradford's lost. Keenum's the quarterback the rest of the way, so you catch lightning in a bottle there. But you were able to get to the NFC title game and win a playoff game with Jerick McKinnon and Latavius Murray, both good players, but not Dalvin-esque. So don't you think that's a fair part of the equation, that you had this, you loved it, you drafted it, and through the first 3.5 games, you thought you were really onto something. Then he goes down with the ACL, and there's a little bit of panic and consternation, but you still found a way to get to the NFC title game.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think everybody knows that I don't think that you're not riding a bell cow running back all the way to the Super Bowl. It's not the way that the NFL is built and constructed these days. You look at, Cincinnati might be the best situation where you could look and say, well, they still feature their running backs a lot. Now, they haven't won anything yet. Right. They get close, and they're going to be good for a while, but there's a reason why, Tennessee, they got King Henry. They try to ride his coat. They try to give him the ball a lot, and it doesn't do much for them. They're a competitive team. They'll win a playoff game here and there, but they're not a championship level team. And I think that's what everybody is trying to mimic. The championship caliber teams are the teams that use running back by committee. They got a little bit of thunder and lightning to them, a bigger type back, a faster back. They're going to throw the ball around. You got to have more dynamic receivers and more dynamic pass catchers and tight ends. Ezekiel Elliott's he's a free agent. Dalvin's a free agent. They're going to be a free agent, or if not traded today, he'll be a free agent tomorrow. I mean, unfortunately, the devaluation of the premier bell cow running back is real. It's not a myth. And that's what we're seeing right now with Dalvin.
Now, with the why now, it's like you said, you laid it out beautifully. The releasing or Dalvin Cook not being on the team is not a shocker to those who follow the right people and follow them closely. But the why now, I wonder, because you got minicamp coming up, then the chill, then you got training camp. During the course of training camp, a team may lose a wide receiver, a running back on whom they count. You may lose a running back on whom you count. So therefore, if you had the ability to hold this asset until late July, early August, and then something happens and trade it and get something in return, I just wonder why now.
My best bet is it's the Vikings organization taking care of a guy that they really respect, not only as a player, but as a person. And you have most of the league, 100% of the league has mandatory minicamp next week.
Good point.
And, Dalvin's going to be expected to be there, whether he's a Viking or whether he's on another team. And it'll give him a chance, a 3-day window to mandatory be with said team. Get his feet wet a little bit. He's not going to know the playbook. He'll just be around the players, be around the coaches, and then he'll hit the playbook pretty hard before training camp. But I think it's just doing him a solid. Like, look, man, we're gonna move on. We're gonna better our situation cap wise, and we're gonna give you the best opportunity to succeed.
Yeah.
Not wait till training camp. Not wait till a week in a training camp, and a guy gets dinged or hurt and is a starting running back for said team, maybe out for a couple months, and they're like, oh, well, now his value really goes up because this team really wants him. Yeah, you might get a better equity out of him, but do the guy a favor. Let him have the best chance to succeed in 2023 with a new team, and do that now.
Now, NFL Network is all over teams peppering the Vikings to trade for Danielle Hunter. With Danielle not being an optional organized team activities, at least that's been reported. Okay, that's not a big shocker, but the mandatory minicamp piece, like you said, that's coming up next week. So therefore, that's when all eyes are on everybody, and it's mandatory. If they trade Danielle Hunter, would that surprise you, and would it frustrate you?
Yes, to both. It would frustrate me because right now, on paper, we don't have a guy that is going to be a premier pass rusher. And I do think, as much as we undervalue and we're devaluing running backs, I think that every team should have at least one premier pass rusher. And that same argument that I made with having a pass catching running back, it changes the way a defense approaches you. If you have a game changing premier pass rusher, that changes the blocking scheme and changes the attention that tight ends and running backs and offensive linemen have to account for in the blocking scheme. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I would say is a possible thought process with the Vikings, and I hate that Brian Flores is probably just a one and done guy, because I'm very confident he's going to blow it up this year. He's going to do a great job. He's going to get a head coaching job next year, and let's just hope that his successor feels the same way about this defense and they implement the same style of defense, because I think I'm a big believer in what he's trying to do. That being said, if you were to look back at Flores's 3 defenses that he ran in Miami, and I'm not saying that he was influenced by the Patriots and what they did, and they did a little bit of that stuff. It seemed like he took it kind of to the next level when he was with Miami. They didn't have one pass rusher that had more than 9 sacks when he was there. So, you've got a guy that had 5 sacks, I believe, in his first year, who's out of the league. And then Emmanuel Ogbah had 9 sacks apiece in the next 2 years. He brings pressure by committee.
Yeah.
His philosophy, it seems like, is like, I don't necessarily have to have this premier, highly paid pass rusher. I'm going to create and cause chaos with my scheme and with some dudes that they don't. And that's sort of the Bill Belichick. That's what he did as well. I mean,
yeah.
Was Mike Vrabel in a sense of what we look at now, a premier bendy pass rusher?
Either was Teddy Bruschi.
No, and neither. So
that's a really good point, man.
So you look at what they did with New England. Rob Ninkovich,
yeah,
I don't know, like kind of a stiff dude. Yeah,
Yeah, Dietrich Wise was not ballyhooed coming into the league.
But Chandler Jones, he was a stud, right?
Yeah.
They got a dude with that guy.
Yeah.
But most of the time, Belichick was making up schemes that just confused people. Mm-hmm. He was always trying to stay a step ahead. He was trying to be the aggressor on defense, and that's how they won. They get some good, solid cornerback play. But you look at all their defenses that won Super Bowl, they just had a bunch of dudes that played their roles. If that's the same mentality that he implemented in Miami with a little bit more of a blitz scheme, a little more blitz heavy, then you don't need that one dude. So maybe if that's the route they're going, I mean, this might just be a perfect scenario of can't really pay the guy, Probably he does deserve a bigger contract. Somebody's going to go out and pay him. If we can find some value for him, then great. we're going to do this whole thing by committee on defense, and there's no need to suck up all these funds in a premier guy that, has been banged up a little bit the last couple of years and still yet, another unproven year with this scheme. It might be best just to let him go.
We will watch you on TV today at 3:00 on Twin Cities Live, Channel 5. And thank you very much for the contribution. Have a good day, okay?
Yeah, thanks, you too. And quick, tomorrow on Twin Cities Live, Chris Carter is going to be in studio with us at the start of the 3:00 hour of the show. It'll be with 2 segments. So if you're a Chris Carter fan, please tune in to Twin Cities Live tomorrow.
My man, Ben Leber at Nacho Leber via Twitter. This is
KFAN, The Fan.
Dustin, it's Paul Allen. How are you?
Hey, PA, how we doing today?
Well, listen to that voice right now, man. I mean, I'm not going to say like you were out late with Trevor Plouffe or whatever in Ybor City, but I mean, when the team, like, you being communications / marketing and player relations at Morse Code via Twitter, please follow Dustin as 9 to Noon does. I mean, you care about the team. You get peppered with questions from the media and things like that. And when things aren't good, that wears on those who care, right?
100%. 100%. It's hard to ignore the rough patch here the last 4 and certainly the last 5 games with our offensive production. You feel it. When you're traveling with the team, and this, PA. I mean, you're on the bus, you're at the hotel, you're at the airport, on the plane. I mean, you can't really escape it. And in my job, you're reading about it, you're writing about it, you're watching it, you're listening to it. So, yeah, I would say all of us here in Tampa feel it for sure. And we still try to turn the page and come back and got a chance to win a game today. I think I told you this before. The beauty about baseball is, you take one on the chin last night, you wake up and you got an opportunity to win a game today. So that's what we're preparing for. The lineup is out and good. We're feeling good about Ober on the mound, and just trying to compete with these Rays, who are a pretty impressive team to watch. I mean, they're athletic, they're making big plays, they're hitting big homers. It's just a tough matchup. They're having one of those years, but we'll see what we can do today.
And Wander Franco, and they have a couple of players that even casual fans have heard of, but then you get like Josh Lowe and this Paredes, or however you say his last name. I think Isaac is his first. They have some under-the-radar players like they always do, because it's not a big revenue team, but credit to the Tampa Bay Rays. They've just done a good job over the years unearthing, kind of under-the-radar talent, right?
100%. Rocco, grew up in this organization. He speaks to it from his time here. They squeeze the most out of every player. They move them around. They develop them a little bit different. And yeah, they find a player here or there that, a few other teams pass on, and they turn them into something. And collectively as a team, I mean, Rocco keeps saying that they're very athletic. Every one of them can go out and run a ball down. They can make contact with the bat, good at bats, and their pitching has always been dominant here. And it's, we've faced pretty much the whole staff. It felt like yesterday they had an old school opener and then brought in a guy for bulk middle innings and then kicked it back to the bullpen and, held us to 3 hits. And, we were lucky to break through there at the end with a Royce Lewis, who actually we should get Royce on the phone. He's our bright spot. He's a positive individual.
Sweet.
He got a big hit last night that kind of put us on the board.
Yep.
And then just like that, it ends quick. That's baseball. Durant comes in and dots a 98-mile-an-hour pitch on the corner, and a Rosarena just took it to the seats. And you walk off the field, you shake it off, and you turn around and, like I said, try to win a game today. Hey,
Dustin, so you say Royce Lewis is in the vicinity. Yes, it would be great to chat with him. But last question for you. Did the Rays, do they have a pitcher change that's like late? Is Chirinos goes today? I thought it was Glasnow.
Yeah, they made a roster move. We kind of heard about it last night that they were going to make a switch, and they recalled Yanni Chirinos, who's going to get the ball here to start today. So, Rocco adjusts his lineup and tries to get some left-handed bats in there. I've heard Chirinos is tough against the righties, so we'll see what our guys can do. And, we're pulling the numbers and the video, and guys are prepping, and a little light workout on the field today, too. It's kind of it reminds me of the old Metrodome days where you're inside and just a calm atmosphere and watching guys take ground balls. One of my favorite things to do. I just watched Royce Royce just finished. He and Plouffe are talking about, Plouffe, the former third baseman.
Yeah.
The Twins is talking to the current third baseman. It's that part of my job's great. And I don't know if you've been paying attention on TV when you got, guys like Morneau and Plouffe talking baseball. And then on radio, we've got Paul Molitor here doing games. It's pretty cool to work with these guys in their second career. So, fun insight, fun to hear these guys talk and kind of pay it forward.
Yeah, I liked, I don't know if it was you or somebody put out a picture on Twitter, I think it was yesterday, including those names, but adding Denard Span. And I was texting, I was texting with Denard a little bit yesterday, and I know he's not feeling well right now. So I don't even know if he's going to be at the game today. But yeah, when you can go old school like that, man, specifically with HOF Paul Molitor in there, that is a cool part of the job, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. And I'm glad you brought up Denard. I mean, Denard's one of the great ones. And I think I remember years ago when he was a rookie and we got him on your show. We'd have to pull the tapes, but we used to fine Denard $1 for every time he said,
Okay.
He started every answer, every question with So we were talking about that the other day. I feel like a proud PR guy when I've got all these former players now in the media doing great things on TV and radio. It's pretty cool. But Denard, he even said, like, who would have thought this? He was so raw and tough and not a great interview, but now he's talking Rays baseball on TV, and he's pretty good at it.
Oh, Denard's absolutely fantastic. Salt of the earth, too. Wonderful Christian and just an awesome, awesome man. Wonderful family. Do you, so do I hear Royce Lewis in the background? Is it possible to chat with him?
Yeah, let's talk to Royce, and if you need some Plouffe updates, too.
I'd like it.
They're chatting up. So here's Royce with a big smile, talking about that big hit last night.
Well, that's cool.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Royce, Paul Allen, good to meet you, man. Things well with you?
Yeah, everything's well. Thank you.
Yeah, that's cool.
How are you?
I'm doing quite well. Thank you very much for asking. And Dustin just talked about that hit you got last night. And I know with Rosarina taking that one deep to settle things, your hit gave them a chip chair and a chance to potentially win a game. And, from your debut, man, I mean, when you debuted, I think it was like early May 2022 against Oakland, to now, okay, you haven't played that many big league games, but I mean, you probably know as well as anybody the marathon, not sprint narrative Major League Baseball has. And, things hitting wise overall ain't great right now. Ain't no doubt about it. But it doesn't mean next week they ain't going to be great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like this game is such a fluctuating game, and the ups and downs. It's a true roller coaster ride of emotions. And, we're experiencing that right now in terms of the hitting side of things. And, I know I can only speak for myself, but I've been trying to make a lot of adjustments, and it seems like we're getting pitched away a lot. And so we just got to, take it to the opposite field, just like when we're little, simplify things and just have fun, man.
So you're gonna play third today in an hour and change, and you're gonna bat sixth, which is really, really cool. Your second game in this series. When a team, Royce, whether it's in the minors or it's here, it's college, it's San Juan Capistrano, it's Sarah High School or whatever, when there's a late pitching change and like Chirinos is called up and then now he's going to play and he can be nasty with right-handers, how much film work is required when like Glass now is maybe the guy you planned for, but now it's Chirinos?
Yeah, our team and staff does a great job of giving us all the resources and tools necessary for us to, get ahead and have an advantage at the plate up there and have all the, scouts and just everything that we have possible, whether it's our AAA team facing them, AA team has faced them in the past. We get, information on these guys, and we just take it and use it to our advantage. And, he's a big sinker slider guy, good splitter. We just got to see him up in the zone and make him throw strikes in our zone that we can hit and do damage with.
Royce, when you were in high school, did you play football? And here's the reason I ask, because I lived in Southern California 16 years, and I know Sarah High School, at least at one point, what was a football powerhouse in Southern California. Were you part of that? Did you play football and baseball?
No, sir. I just played baseball. It was too expensive for me and my family to do multiple sports, and it just kind of also dangerous. So my mom, gets worried, and with all these banged up collisions I've already had, I can only imagine football would be way more worse for her. So
and with the collisions and everything through which you've gone, I mean, I would imagine that's developed mental tenacity with you, and also really no anxiety. I mean, like, there could have been anxiety at one point, wondering what's next and stuff like that. But, I mean, I feel like talking to you and following your career from afar, that you have many reasons to be anxious for nothing because you've seen so much. Is that fair?
Yeah, I don't get nervous. I love this game, and I play real hard. It just happens to be, when you play hard and you're an explosive athlete, that you run into walls and you run into people, and sometimes it's just unfortunate mistakes that are made that, maybe if we have a different first baseman, he doesn't cover the base like that. And maybe if I looked up with my head when I'm looking towards the base instead of looking at the ground running hard, I also could avoid it a little bit better. So I'm doing my best to learn from those mistakes and those collisions. But, at the same time, I'm not going to stop playing the game the way I do. And I believe that's who I am today as a person and a player, is I always do everything 120% and give it my all.
Royce, you've played at Houston and you've played some road games, but I mean, now you're at Tropicana Field and it could be a little dark in there. It could be a little quiet in there and the acoustics are weird. I think fans will look at pro athletes and be like, they make a ton of cash. They live a charmed life and there are many blessings that they have received. They should be up for every moment and excited and intense for every single situation. But sometimes when you get to certain fields, like maybe Tropicana Field, do you have to take a deep breath and like, all right, it's quiet, it's dark, all right, we got to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying for sure. But no, I am the complete opposite. Like you said, it's a blessing, man. I don't take this stuff for granted at all. And I've always dreamed of, I'm playing baseball and being a big leaguer. And so I'm living out my dream, man. I won't take it for granted at all. Not one bit. I'm taking it all in, soaking it all in, because, as I've also learned from these collisions, it can get taken from you like that. So, while I have it, I'm going to enjoy it and just keep learning and have a lot of fun. And here, this is a good team. They're a really good team, and it's a great competition, man. And this field is neat. It's got turf. It's different dirt, and it plays fast. And, I just get really excited when I get to see different kind of fields that we're able to play on. And, maybe when you're Carlos Correa and you've played here 1,000 times, it gets a little bit monotonous and boring. But to me, man, this is exciting because, 15,000 fans is still a lot of people that I'm playing in front of.
Did last one, and thanks for the time. It was all my pleasure and our pleasure. Did Trevor Plouffe happen to give you any good pointers or suggestions about the art of playing third base?
Absolutely. That's what we were just talking about. You just kind of saw me taking some grounders, and he just gave me some, little pointers on, talking about, like, it's like an X. You got to go like a drop step instead of at short. You could go a little bit more lateral. It's just a little bit different position, in terms of the depth of the ground balls, and you either got to go in or go back. It's not necessarily going to your right or left as much as Carlos would be doing. So, and it's less ground to cover as well. So everything happens a lot faster. You got to get the ball out quick. It's just a little bit different. He was giving me some pointers on it, and I was pretty excited to hear about what he had to say, man, because he was a great third baseman himself and a great player.
My man, tear it up against Chirinos and or that bullpen today. Best of luck to you. That was my pleasure getting a chance to meet you, and I look forward to the next conversation, okay?
All right, Paul. Thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
If you can give the phone to Trevor Plouffe, that would be cool.
Okay.
Yeah, you need Plouffe now?
That'd be cool. I mean, if he's around, I'd like to chat with him for a couple of seconds.
Well, he's FaceTiming with his wife, so we'll see if you outrank her.
Well, I mean, if kids are involved and we got last days of school or we got a little long distance disciplining, I don't want to jump in the middle of that.
Yeah. But how great is Royce? Isn't he? He's a polished young man that's going to make me look good. He's a media darling. He knows what to say and how to say it.
Very sharp.
And, it looks like Trevor's wife just hung up on him. So here's Plouffe.
Give me that phone, Dustin. Hey, what's up?
Trevor, it's Paul Allen, KFAN. How you been?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Paul? Great to hear from you.
Good. You too, man. I don't know if it was long distance discipline of a child or I didn't want an intimate conversation with your wife. Hopefully, we didn't cause any marital consternation by requesting you on the fan.
No, not at all. She's like, get to work, bro. Get out of here and get to work. That's what she wants me to do right now.
And getting to work now is seeing you on, I believe it's still called Valley Sports North, but, watching you,
yes.
Or you popped up on the road early in the season. I'm like, hey, look at Plouffe go. But, like being a player, young in a career, or a broadcaster, sideline analyst or whatever, young in a career, you're going to improve game by game, rep by rep. Do you feel that? Because I enjoy watching you, but nevertheless, you're not going to start out being like a 350 hitter with 30 home runs and 120 RBI. You know what I mean?
I think I'm in a little bit different position here. And do I think there's room for improvement in what I'm doing? Absolutely. But I do also talking to a mic 5 days a week for my other company. So I'm used to talking. Now, some of the things that I struggle with, like with Bally's, is the structure of it, doing pre and post and only having, 45 seconds to make your points. When I get in the booth, I feel really comfortable when it's just Justin, Dick, and I talking about the game. And to me, that's the easiest thing to do. It's more of the structured stuff that I think I have to work on, tossing it back and forth to the studio, having producers in your ear. I'm more of a free form type guy. That's what I do at my other job at John Boy. And
yeah.
So that's where I can look for improvement. But I've enjoyed it. And, I do think I'll get better at it as we keep going here.
And Trevor, I'm sorry I don't know this, but what is your other job, and what do you do into cameras or microphones or whatever?
All right, yeah, I'm part of a media company called John Boy Media, and we mostly cover baseball, but it's turned into more than that. But I do a couple shows. Talking Baseball is one I do 3 days a week. That's like an hour and a half to 2 hours where we cover all of the league. It's a national show. And then I do another show 5 days a week with Chris Rose called Baseball Today. And that's more palatable. It's 30 minutes, and we just go over general topics, kind of like the bigger stories around the league. But so I've been doing that for a couple of years now. So
Chris Rose, as in MLB Network Chris Rose.
Formerly of MLB Network, now of John Boy Media Chris Rose, yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. Right on, man. And I'm really glad that you mentioned that here. I'm sure a lot more people know about it than me, but it never hurts to popularize it. And
thank you.
And being down there, seeing some of these pictures on Twitter, man. I mean, Denard Span's one of my all-time favorite twins, and I've gotten to know him personally through some faith-related things and stuff like that. But to see Denard and have Paul Molitor down there, and you're in Florida, I mean, what a cool trip this is, right?
It is a great trip. I also played for the Rays later on in my career, so I know a lot of people on that side. Obviously, I know Denard, and having Molly next to me in the booth, and he's doing radio. It's all cool, and it's a lot of the stuff that we do on air. It's the discussions that Justin and I would have in the dugout or in the clubhouse. It's that's what we kind of want to make it like, and it's been easy for me to transition into it because, like I said, I've had these conversations with Justin before. Now we're just doing it in front of everybody.
You have a birthday next week, don't you? You're going to be 37 a week from today, aren't you?
I am. June 15th, middle birthday. I like middle heaters because I got a middle birthday. That's what I like to say.
All right. Well, an early happy birthday from 9 to noon. But speaking of middle heaters, you probably ain't going to get too many of those today from Chirinos. But like if Royce Lewis or whomever chats with you, HOF Paul Molitor, being like opening a vein, hey, hitting's really tough right now. Whatever the negative side of it is contagious at this moment. Even though you know better than anybody, it will flip. And then all of a sudden, everybody's hitting for a patch. How did you handle that when you played, when like a team-wide plague takes place and nobody's hitting in key moments?
I actually think that's the point where you have to communicate the most with each other, peer to peer. Not like you need to shut the coaches out or anything like that, but communication is key in those aspects. There's a lot of times, as a player, you feel really lonely when you're struggling. And if it's a team-wide thing, it means that there's a lot of lonely players. So if you can kind of just talk about it, get it out in the open, and not let it scare you, because it is part of the game. I mean, you are going to go through stretches where the offense just isn't going to go. As long as you understand that and you just keep working, I mean, it's tough to focus on results all the time. It gets, put under a microscope when you're not doing well. And when you are doing well, it's the exact opposite. No one even talks about hitting because, it's just going to happen. So I am of the belief that, during a time like this, Twins are struggling offensively, striking out a bunch. Let's just have some open discussion about it. Let's not let it build up to something that it isn't. It's not that big of a deal. We'll get out of it. But when you keep it inside, and that's when the pressure builds, and then that's just kind of get worse and worse.
Last one, and what a treat chatting with you, man, and continued success with not only John Boy, but what you're doing with Valley Sports North, and it's just really a treat to watch people grow in different industries. But you mentioned, like you and Chris Rose on baseball, what do you call it, baseball tonight?
Baseball today.
Yeah, baseball today.
Baseball today.
All right, so if y'all are talking about league-wide festivities, if I were to say the best young pitcher in Major League Baseball is Bobby Miller with the LA Dodgers, would you agree or take me deep?
He's one of them. And I spotted Bobby Miller last year when they were playing the Freeway Series in spring training against the Dodgers. He came on to pitch, and immediately I was like, this guy's got it. The look in his eye, you can kind of tell. There's a couple Millers. Bryce Miller for Seattle. He's been getting touched up a little bit the last couple of games, but he's got some electric stuff. You know what? There's a lot of good young pitchers that have come up this year, but Bobby is a favorite of mine just because of the moxie he has, and he reminds me of my former roommate, Anthony Swarzak, a little bit. He's kind of got that type of confidence, but his stuff plays a little bit better than Swarzak does.
And if you're, if you're talking young pitchers, now this Graham Ashcraft with Cincinnati, he's struggling of late. I think he gave up 7 to 10 earned runs in his most recent start. But he throws heat, and he has a lot of talent. There's a Bryce Elder. You mentioned a couple there, but there are some really good young pitchers in Major League Baseball right now, aren't there?
A lot of guys coming up with really plus stuff. And the thing about coming up like that and having initial success is you have to be able to make adjustments. The league will finally make adjustments on you. As you know, that's just how it is. It's a chess game between hitters. So we've seen, speaking of the Reds, they have Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo. Those guys, you've seen up and down starts for them. They have some of the best stuff. Hunter Green in particular has some of the best stuff in the big leagues. But, you have to be able to locate. You have to be able to make adjustments. And I love watching these guys come up and have success. But the thing I love most is when I see them be able to make adjustments and turn into guys like a Zach Gallen, who's, been consistently one of the better pitchers in the league. That's what I like to see.
Yep, Gallen for Arizona. He's having a wonderful year. Hey, continued success. I'd like to do this more frequently if you have time. I'll work with Dustin on that. I really, really enjoy the conversation. And if you could give the phone back to Dustin, that would be great.
Thanks, Paul. Great talking with you.
Yeah, you too. See you, Trevor. Trevor Plouffe. They call him Plouffe.
Yeah.
Bruh. It's... Yeah. First of all, thank you. Royce Lewis into Plouffe after you. Secondly,
did we just knock down 2 segments?
I know. No, I stretched one way too long, and I'll deal with that. But nevertheless, when we do these clubhouse calls, ma'am, when the love covenant meshes with the favorite 9, the team is 5-0. And that's the reason I started peppering you last night. I started on Twitter, was like, you know what? They're not hitting right now. And nevertheless, they're on the road against one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. But let's go ahead and do it and push the love covenant connection to see if we can stretch this thing to 6-0, man, because you guys need a dub. And we really enjoy the conversation. So that's our part. You guys go do your part, and we'll do this again soon, okay?
I appreciate it. We need the dub. Let's move this thing to 6-0, and we'll do it again, all right?
See you, man.
All right. Take care.
Dustin Morse with communications with the Minnesota Twins. We've been doing those sneaky clubhouse calls for years, and man, I just really enjoy them. Hopefully the audience does too. We thank Dustin Morse for arranging for Royce Lewis, Trevor Plouffe, and best of luck to the Twins today against Chirinos and the Tampa Bay Rays. The streaming of 9 to noon over the last hour is provided by...
Yeah, thanks to our buddies at Quantum Fiber. So all social channels, we do this on a daily basis, and each of our shows in the mix at the Fan. So just watch out for notifications via social streaming. Again, thanks to Quantum Fiber.
And thanks to you for that. It's Paul Allen into the final hour.